Well, good afternoon, everyone, and it really is wonderful to be here with all of my caucus colleagues and to be able to kick off a tremendous season of festivities, I guess we'll call it. James, thank you very much for those wonderful words, and Brian, very kind, very, very thoughtful, and truly appreciate the partnership that we have with industry because we strive so hard to ensure that we continue to be the economic engine of the country. I must say, as James has, it's an incredibly exciting day to be here, of course, with your new mayor, your worship, Mayor Iverson. It was wonderful to be able to have a very early morning breakfast with you on Saturday morning and to begin to talk about how we can work together for the city and for the region. And as you always say, it's about being globally competitive, and that's very exciting, and I think that as we move forward, there's going to be a lot of opportunities to do that. So I wish you well. You told me that you got to play Lego yesterday, so that's a good thing. Yes, with your son. Yeah, that's a good point. Well, our Lego at home is on the dining room table and is built on incrementally. But I wish you well. You have incredible passion. I said that when I was reading the Edmonton Journal here on Tuesday morning, you could feel the buzz. And that's a very exciting thing, so I wish you well, and I know everyone here that hasn't had a chance to congratulate you would want me to do that on your behalf until they get a chance to see you, so congratulations. You know, I'm very excited to be here with all of my colleagues to talk about a strong province and a strong Edmonton. And as I look around this room, I want to thank all of you for being here, large businesses and small businesses, because you drive the Edmonton economy and you drive the Alberta economy. Last week, the Canadian Federation of Independent Business named Alberta the #1 place in Canada to start a small business, and we're very proud of that fact. And you know, as much as progressive conservative governments have effectively changed with changing times, we've also remained consistent in creating a climate that attracts jobs, that allows hard work and big ideas to thrive, and builds the infrastructure that's the very backbone of our success as a community and a province. And it's no accident that by virtually every measure, Alberta leads Canada. This year alone, we've welcomed more than 100,000 new people to Alberta, growing faster than in any year since 1981, and faster than anywhere in Canada. And we'll add 1 million people to Alberta easily within the next 10 years. We know that they're attracted to our province because of the exceptional opportunity that awaits them. We create more jobs than anywhere else, and we pay the lowest taxes. Our pay in Alberta exceeds the national average by 20%. TD Bank says that our economy will grow faster than anywhere else next year. And we're the only province with net assets, not debt, and the only province with a long-term savings account. We spend more per student on education and post-secondary education than any other province in Canada. This is the Alberta that successive progressive conservative governments have built, and this is a record that we are immensely proud of. I want to talk about how our government is continuing to build on that record, not just for today, but for the long term, and for an even better quality of life for all of us in the future. Our Building Alberta plan is designed to do that. It's designed to do that in a way that is centered on 3 key pillars: on investing in family and communities, living within our means, and opening new markets for our resources. The plan is about the real, measurable ways that we're keeping Alberta at the forefront in Canada, the best place to work, to invest, and to live. There is no question that we have an ambitious agenda. My ministers remind me of that every single week. And in the face of challenging times for our resource-dependent budget, that's important. And our work certainly didn't get any easier with the flooding in Fort McMurray in southern Alberta this summer. But we will not pause on the Building Alberta plan. Quite simply, our province is going too fast to stop building, something we've experienced for years, and we have to stay committed to that. Our programs, our services, and our infrastructure have to keep pace. The Building Alberta plan is our vision for accomplishing this. And in Edmonton, You can already see that plan in action. A few months ago, I was very proud with many of my colleagues to announce 3 new K-9 schools around the city, one in Terwilliger Heights, another in Heritage Valley, and a third in Lewis Farms. New schools for St. Albert, Leduc, and Spruce Grove are coming too, as part of our commitment to the first wave of 50 new schools province-wide. And there's Jeff Johnson over there doing all that hard work every day. And we know that we need to do more in Edmonton. We hear that from our caucus colleagues around the caucus table, and we will deliver. Because small class sizes, particularly in the early grades, are important to a quality education. We recently broke ground on the Centre for Applied Technologies at NAIT's main campus, and our government is investing $200 million to train more of the skilled workers that Alberta needs. Access to health care is always a priority for Edmontonians, and here too, we've listened and we've acted. This spring, the K Clinic, which is the second largest health infrastructure project in provincial history, opened just south of downtown at the University of Alberta. It offers seamless treatment, streamlined access to specialists, and space for more than 400,000 patients to be served every year, and state-of-the-art dental facilities, I found out. And when it comes to getting to and from where these important infrastructure projects are, we need to do that quickly, and we are building. 90% of the Anthony Henday Ring Road is open, with 71 kilometers of free-flow traffic, and we're investing $1.8 billion to complete the final northeast segment by 2016. Together with Ottawa, we've committed funding for the QE2 and 41st Avenue interchange that is now underway. And this link means that there is easy access to the new CP yard, which allows businesses to move goods more efficiently from road to rail to port. We also provided Edmonton with $497 million for new trains and the NAIT LRT line, which is slated to finish next year, which is very exciting. And I know that your new mayor has even more plans for more ambitious public transit, which is a very good thing. And our government is making these investments because they're what this city needs to grow. We've had the opportunity, as I said before, to meet already to talk about this, and we are just getting started. We know the thousands of new Edmontonians that are settling in each year need schools, hospitals, and roads, because that is what matters to our quality of life. Just as important for people that are coming to our community for the first time as to people that have lived here for generations. And that's why we're building, for today and for tomorrow. Now, quite frankly, it is what will continue to set us apart from our political opposition. They have a plan. They have a plan to slash $5 billion from Alberta's budget this year alone. And that's almost the entire education budget. Their building nothing approach is simply out of step with the times, as are a few other things. We know that what we're building for the future is something that's important to Albertans, and that Albertans want us to be accountable to them. We have to be smart with our spending, because that's what public trust is about. In the face of the bitumen bubble, our last budget held overall spending increases to zero, which is no small feat in the fastest growing economy in Canada. It wasn't easy, and it wasn't popular, but we made a pledge to Albertans to live within our means, and we abided by that promise. And that's also why we have said no repeatedly, that there will not be a provincial sales tax. Because under the Building Alberta plan, we as a government will ensure that we are spending taxpayers' dollars responsibly. That is our primary responsibility, and we will challenge every dollar that we spend to ensure that we're achieving real results for Albertans. In 2012, our MLAs led by example by taking an 8% pay cut. In 2013, our PC members pushed a further pay freeze to 2014. We also agreed, in partnership with important community leaders, to multi-year deals, including wage freezes, with Alberta's hard-working doctors and teachers. And I want to thank the leadership of the ATA, the AMA, as well as Jeff Johnson and Fred Horn for that incredible work. And I sincerely, sincerely want people to know that that dialogue was done in the spirit of improving services for families and for kids across this province. We heard loud and clear from Albertans that saving wisely is just as important as careful spending. And that's why my government has made a commitment to a legislated savings plan which will build the Heritage Fund to $24 billion in the next 3 years, which is the first time that this will have happened in Alberta in 25 years. These are funds that we can use as endowments for innovation and research to help guarantee Alberta's future success. Now, key to our ability to build the infrastructure that we need to save for the future is expanding market access, which is the third component of the Building Alberta plan. And this is job one for our government, because that's how we get fairer prices for our products and our commodities, and in turn, the revenues that we need to sustain services for Albertans so that we can continue to invest in families and communities. And that's why I've been pushing so hard for the Canadian energy strategy to move Canada's resources to market, creating a true global energy superpower. Together with Premier Clark, we're having incredibly successful discussions. Our two governments are working actively on the best options for getting our oil and gas to new markets in Asia. And we're supporting projects like Energy East and Keystone XL that will move our resources to market around the world and to ensure that we get a much fairer price for them. I have to say, on Friday morning, I was very pleased to be able to sit down with Premier Wynne from Ontario. And the first thing she talked about was the Canadian energy strategy. And she said that the Canadian energy strategy mattered, but not in isolation. That the Canadian energy strategy was supporting pipeline, and that pipeline moving through Ontario was good for Ontario. So we talked about the approach that the Government of Ontario is taking with respect to the development of Energy East, and she had an opportunity later in the day to make a commitment to ensure that the discussion that needs to happen in Ontario includes the fact that this project is not only good for Alberta, it's good for Ontario and it's good for Canada. Now, in May, we also released our international strategy, which raises Alberta's profile as a sustainable producer and will ensure that we can help business to secure new export opportunities. Last month, I returned from my third trip to China, and I can tell you that we opened doors for small and medium-sized companies from across Alberta to expand their reach into China's enormous economy. In fact, half of the companies that were with us had never been to China before. And that was one of the things that we talked about together, Dawn, on Saturday, was how we can continue to work in partnership with Edmonton to ensure that we're telling Edmonton's story around the world. When we get our products to market at world price, whether it's energy, agriculture, forest products, even technical companies, services, that sort of thing, we as Canadians benefit, and we as Albertans benefit. As we move forward, these are the foundations of how we will build this province. Some of the work that's already been talked about that we'll put in place over the fall session will be just as important, because we have a clear mandate to strengthen Alberta. And you'll see a lot of progress on that goal in this fall session, which, as we've talked about, starts today. We will be squarely focused on our plan to build Alberta, and I fully expect that the opposition will try to make this session about them. They will throw everything at us, including the kitchen sink, at me, at my family, at our party, at our caucus, and at our ministers. And no doubt their characterization, probably of me, will be worse than anything that you'll see on your doorsteps at Halloween. But I tell you that the reason they're doing it is because they have nothing else to talk about. They'll ask you to believe that they've changed, and they did, but I don't know when they're going to change again. They no longer believe today what they believed on Friday, and who knows what they'll believe tomorrow. But I am fundamentally convinced that Albertans are smarter than that. Albertans want a government that goes to work every day implementing a thoughtful and a responsible plan that puts Alberta's families and communities first. And our Building Alberta plan is based on what Albertans told us matters the most to them. Whether it's safer roads and less traffic, protecting our communities from future disasters, making it easier to donate organs, protecting our environment, better serving Alberta's most vulnerable, protecting our kids from drug addiction. This fall, we'll take action. Our flood recovery bill will apply the lessons that we learned in the face of the worst national disaster that we've seen in this country and certainly in Alberta's history. It will include new protections against future flooding and measures to make our emergency response even more effective. The June flood reminded us daily of the selflessness of Albertans right across this province. And that, more than anything else, is what endures. In that spirit, government will enable generosity in a different but still very significant way through the creation of a new organ and tissue donation registry. Now, this bill originally came from one of our MLAs, Len Weber, and it was a great idea that deserved to become a government bill. Albertans wholeheartedly support this. And so this fall, we will ensure that we put in place the legislation to have a registry operating in 2014. We will ensure that vulnerable Albertans and their families, through Dave Hancock and Frank Oberle's leadership, will be part of new engagement councils that bring government, communities, and people together to solve the problems that affect the most vulnerable people in our communities and to ensure that they receive the support that they need. And as I mentioned earlier, Alberta's ability to pay for many of these services is tied to a stronger energy sector. So some of the recent challenges in getting product to market have been reputational, and we want to put those concerns to rest. The Protecting Alberta's Environment Act will ensure that our resources are developed in a safe and sustainable way by creating an agency that is responsible for comprehensive, transparent, real-time monitoring that covers air, land, water, and biodiversity. At the same time, we will continue to look at every opportunity to market our resources in the most effective way possible to get the best possible price. And that's how we've worked to reduce the impact of the bitumen bubble. We'll introduce legislation to further enhance the safety on our roads by enabling cities and towns to reduce their traffic congestion and empowering our courts to take harmful drivers off our roads more quickly. Because it's important that we all get home safely to our families. We will promote healthier communities by addressing the problem of tobacco, addressing tobacco use by our youth. The tobacco reduction strategy introduced in the spring will be introduced as legislation this fall. And this bill will bring stakeholders together in an effort to target the problem, ensuring that kids don't get access to gateway products that could lead to long-term addiction. These bills are all a part of the Building Alberta plan. Albertans expect us to govern, and that means being focused on the big picture and the long term, on the issues that matter most to them: jobs, family, and strong communities. And that's exactly what we're going to do. Because we know that great cities and great provinces don't happen by accident. They develop when people who have a strong and a positive vision come together to build the best of all possible futures. We will continue to build an even better quality of life for all Albertans together, for Edmonton, for communities throughout this province, and for Albertans. Thank you very much.